Hey guys, it is the Nerdy Movie Guy. So today we're going to be talking about the sequel to Evil Dead 2. So conveniently, I found it interesting because the exact name of the first one is The Evil Dead. And then the exact name of the second one is Evil Dead 2. And the name of the third is Army of Darkness. It is not Evil Dead 3 or The Evil Dead 3. So it's kind of interesting that there's a pattern between different names for the titles for each of them, where you don't just, if you're going to search them, you don't just type in The Evil Dead, The Evil Dead 2, The Evil Dead 3. It's just something different, and it kind of makes it feel fresh and unique. And it just sort of stands out as a horror franchise. So, of course, I have the Steelbook here. Picked this up at Best Buy a long time ago, back when they used to sell movies. It's really weird to say now. So I picked this one up a while back, and I've recently just started watching the original trilogy. Basically, I'm going to call it a trilogy. It's what it is for Evil Dead. And I didn't know what to expect from this one, especially after the cliffhanger finale in the last one. I actually really enjoyed this one a lot. So I found it really interesting. It kind of took the quirkiness and the goofiness that the first two had and just sort of went all out, and it was just done in a way where you can tell Sam Raimi actually was really into the comedy and was actually passionate about adding the funny stuff into this one, whereas the other two movies it felt like just ate part. So I found this one more funny than the other two. Being honest with you guys, I just found this one more funny, and it was overall more entertaining. The movie sort of picks up where Ash is basically recapping the events from the first two movies for maybe viewers who are new to this movie and haven't watched the first two. So it recaps so people can be sort of up to date with what's going on, and it sort of just picks up with the action. The opening scenes are sort of this fight to the death in this pit, and you're sort of getting a sense of what's going on. You realize what time period he's in, what's happening around him, and like I said, he's thrown into this pit, and this sort of just creates the action and propels it from the start, pretty much. It happens in the first few minutes. And so this movie, I feel, compared to the other two, had a lot more action in it. There's a lot more fights, just action overall, that's just simply put. So this one was entertaining because of that, because there was so much more. I felt like with the action, the designs for different creatures, and the comedy, everything that was a part of the first two, they just went completely all out with this third one for this finale. And so I think it worked because it paid off. It was more funny and had more action. So sort of the plot is he's looking to get the book. We have the name of the Book of the Dead, the Necronomicon. I botched the name, but that book is the story for this movie. And so Ash is sent to go find it, and if he retrieves it, then he'll be sent back home. But of course, there's just wrenches thrown in that plan, and he's having to make a final stand because he botches it. And now there is an army of darkness that has risen from the dead to make one final stand and storm the castle and take the book back once and for all. So it really is Ash versus Evil Dead. So in this movie, we get to see that standoff. So we sort of get a grand finale for this trilogy, and that's where the most action-packed scenes are at, is the climax. And I think it pays off. And sure, CGI for the skeletons, visually it looks goofy, but I think that's sort of part of the charm. I think it's what it's supposed to be like, and it's supposed to look like for this kind of a movie. And I think it just works because Ash is a quirky kind of character. So for the villains to be sort of the same way, it just all blends together for a very entertaining finale for all characters involved. And in this movie, we finally get to see that Ash goes home. He finally gets what he's basically wanted from the start of the movie, is to just be rid of the evil. And we finally get one last send-off where he gets one last stand against the demon back home. But by now, he's got this. So he's just turned into this really badass character at this point, finally, at the end of 3 movies. And I think that's why there was a series. That's why there's enough love for this franchise. They ended up making 2 more movies, and I don't know if they'll make another, but this franchise seems to have a lot of love for the old and new and TV show. So I don't know where the franchise goes from here, but I enjoyed the movies with Bruce Campbell. So I found them entertaining. I found the new ones to have something interesting. So overall, I am a fan of this franchise as a whole. So I enjoyed this movie a lot. Glad I have the steelbook for it. And I know there's, Blu-ray, 4K copies of these movies for whichever format you guys are wanting to collect for yourselves. But if you've been sort of questioning whether you want to see this, if you're looking for hardcore, creepy, scary horror, this really isn't it. It's more of the quirky side, but I wouldn't call it cheesy. I would just call it quirky because it's got sort of these dumb jokes in there, but because of the way the cast and the writing is, it just makes it feel funny instead of forced or out of place. So that's what I liked about this trilogy, is everything felt like the tone fit for what was supposed to be going on, whether it was the music or the joke or the creature or what the characters are doing. So everything was meticulously detailed out to how it was supposed to be, and now we have a really neat trilogy with these 3 movies. So thank you guys so much for watching. I enjoyed this movie. I'd recommend this trilogy for anyone who wants a good comedy horror trilogy. Thanks again for sticking with me, guys. Keep it digging.